Hello, OLLU students, and welcome to Level Up, Virtual Edition. I'm bringing you a special behind-the-scenes interview with one of the most important people on this campus, and someone you may not always know is here advocating for you. So get ready to enjoy a candid and wonderful sit-down that I got to do with Dr. Candace Zepeda, Dean of Academics. What do you want students to know about your role as the Dean of Academics here at OLLU that they may not realize?
I want students to know that I am their advocate. Although I serve primarily the chairs and school directors and all faculty, I'm also every student's advocate on this campus. So what does that mean? Are they able to get a hold of their professor? Is their professor coming to office hours? Is their professor posting when they're not in class? I think it's really important that students know that I've had their experience. I was first generation. I know what it is like to come from working multiple jobs, and they need an excellent experience in the classroom. So are they receiving it? So what do I want them to know? I want them to know that they could come see me and share their concerns, share also moments of praise. Is a faculty doing something really well? Is a faculty inspiring them? Is a faculty receive some kind of acknowledgement? I'm happy to do that for them. Ultimately, I want them to know that I'm here for them as well.
And I heard you also have a couple of associate deans now that are going to be working with the various, I think, like undergrad and graduate, correct?
Yes. So we have two brand new associate deans. Our first one serves primarily graduate affairs, and that is Dr. Vanessa Clark. She is brilliant. She has had lots of leadership experience. She is a current department chair. She hasn't given that up. She's also our former faculty assembly president. And she also has really phenomenal experiences leading CISS and having partnerships with IT. So most of her work this semester will be helping to establish a center of presence for our graduate students. Dr. Alicia Maurer will step in as Associate Dean of Undergraduate Affairs. And again, brilliant colleague, been with the university for a minute or two. She's a current department chair for education and counseling. And some of her major priorities this semester will primarily be to help us start launching our efforts to create a Saints University.
So just from that, you can definitely tell you wear a lot of different hats,
yes,
even in just this one role. Now, a hat I know that you've worn is as a faculty member.
Yes.
So we're talking to our undergrads here, right? And we're talking to our first-year students. This is who this is for. First-year students, you should be watching this right now. So, what advice would you offer to new college students, or even college students who've transitioned from, say, a community college, local college, to now a full four-year, university? What advice would you offer them as both an experienced faculty member and as the dean?
Such an incredible question. And actually, it's really fresh in my mind. I just came from a meeting where Dr. Chavez wanted to know some of the words that I shared with parents. And the one thing I will tell all freshmen, transfer students, is be a saint. What does that mean? I'll break it down for you. The best advice I could give any new freshman, especially our first gen out there that are listening. I'm watching all you first gen because I was one. What does it mean to be a saint? Show up, show up, show up, show up, show up. Even when you think that you haven't finished the assignment, or maybe you didn't get to read the chapter, or you don't feel quite prepared, still show up for class. Showing up matters to your faculty member because you never know what you're going to get out of that classroom. Students are often notorious for, well, it's already been 15 minutes, I don't want to go late. Still show up. Showing up sends a loud message to your faculty that you care. But it's not just showing up to class, it's also showing up to office hours. Office hours are literally for our students. They're not for the faculty. Every faculty member is expected to carve out different times during the day that mostly accommodate student schedules. And that time is really for you. Go ask for help. Go just talk to them. Humanize yourself and humanize them. Talk about your favorite book. Talk about why this major. Ask them their advice on maybe graduate school, even though that's far away. You should always be planning for it. the best way that you could establish these tight relationships with your faculty members is to build that trust. And the only way you're going to build it is having that one-on-one time. They are there for you. Show up. Accountability. Accountability means making sure that you take ownership of your work and your efforts. So we're in the day of AI, and although it could be a really awesome tool to help us advance in knowledge and also in our work, also take accountability when you don't know something. There's a saying for undergraduate first-gen students, you don't know what you don't know. So taking a sense of accountability that I want to find help and find answers to these questions I don't know really sets the tone. There are so many ways you can find help on campus. ACE is a great example. We have tutors, we have student mentors, we have mission and ministry, we have wellness center. We have plenty of people on this campus wanting to help you find those answers. So that's accountability. I, for Saints, is integrity. One of our core values is integrity. And for our students, I just talked about AI. There'll be so many times where you're like, if I Google this and I find something that will help me write this paper, it'll help me get the certain grade in the class. I assure you, your faculty know when you're using AI. We know the sound of your voice. We know the words you know or don't know. Have a spirit of integrity. I will take a hard C with a student that has spent all night working on this than a phony A. Take that time to have a spirit of integrity. You're here for a reason. You don't just get a degree, you earn a degree. So have a spirit of integrity that this is your stuff. And whatever you turn in is really a product of who you are, your family's values, your abuelita's values. You are sending something to someone. That's a spirit of integrity. Showing up, having a sense of accountability, and having integrity are really important advices. N, normalize asking for help. I think so often our freshmen and undergraduate students are fearful of sounding like it's a silly question or a stupid question. I get that all the time. You have to learn to normalize. It's okay to ask for help. I ask for help all the time. Although I'm the dean and the only dean of this university, I turn on my chairs and school directors when I don't have an answer. If those of you who are watching this film, I literally called a colleague right now to ask a question that I wasn't familiar with. Normalize asking for help. We all don't have the answers, but someone out there does have the answers. And sometimes it isn't just the staff at this university, it could be other students in the class. Normalize asking for help. And lastly, T, time out. It is really important when you get super frustrated. You don't like a professor, you don't like an assignment, you can't figure out the formula in a math class, whatever, take a time out. And time out really means be good to yourself. Take a walk. Our campus is small, but it is really lovely, especially if you walk around the lake. Take a time out and go to the A to Z activities for students out there. You'll find out that you'll actually make some new friends. Go to our sports events. Many of our athletes out there don't have their family close by, and they're really hoping to have a cheering crowd out there. That sends the message that we're a strong community. Take a time out and take a nap. You don't need to have the answer right away. Sometimes just taking a step back, not going to the party, not getting so caught up in the anxiety of it, and just centering yourself that you could get through this is enough for you to be a saint. So remember, saint. You're showing up, you're having accountability, a spirit of integrity, you're normalizing asking help, and you're taking a time out when needed. A little longer, but it's my best advice for you.
What scares you?
Ooh,
what is a fear that you have?
So, before this interview ends, there is a sign behind you that says, "Be fearless." One of the things I pride myself on is to really not let anything, and especially fear, distract me. And that's just really who I am as a person of faith. However, on a comical side, there are things that scare me definitely. Flying roaches. If there was a meeting with the president and the board of trustees and I had to be there, and there was flying roaches near that door, Dr. Zepeda would not be going to that meeting. My biggest fear is flying Texas roaches. You know, those nasty ones, which I'm pretty sure Sabrina's going to put on this page somewhere. Flying roaches scare me a lot. But on another side, I also fear like not having enough time to tell people how I care about them. It's important to me that people know that I value them, that I care about them, that they're doing a good job. This world is so riddled sometimes with nasty rhetoric, especially in the days and age of politics. I want to set a tone for the people that work with me, that I see you, I care about you, and I want people to know that they're important to me in my life. So sometimes as the day ends, I'm like, oh, I forgot to tell so-and-so they did a good job. And I'm mindful of that and make sure to connect with them the next day. So yeah, I guess that's a fear in itself too. But roaches are nasty.
What's one thing that you do, maybe daily, maybe, when you reflect on it, that you do to kind of tackle a little bit of that fear?
That's a great question. I saw a movie more than a few years ago, and it's called We Bought a Zoo, and it's based on a book, and it's a good feel-good movie. It's not the movie that I want to share. Ultimately, a father loses the love of his life, his wife, and he takes his kids far away, and they end up buying a zoo. Spoiler alert, I probably should have said that from the beginning. But in the end, he has a theme that if you take 5 seconds of courage, that you can kind of get past any fear. And it really is counting those moments slowly in your head and forcing yourself and forcing your body to go through whatever the motion is, and you'll get past that fear. And I kind of adopted that, and I've taken that to my kids and people that I know. If something scares you, take advantage and control of that moment and kind of give yourself at least 5 seconds to get through that experience, and you'll find out that you're braver than what you think you are. And some good examples of that is like students always get nervous at the end of the semester when they're doing presentations. Sometimes I'll tell them, take a deep breath and use those 5 seconds to walk in there with a spirit of courage, and you'll find out that eventually communicating isn't a problem. It's just a matter of like walking through those nerves that you can really get through anything. So I do that sometimes too. If I'm talking about something I'm not familiar with, or presenting to the cabinet members or the provost, and I'm like, I'm not too sure if I know this, I'll center myself and I'll count to myself 5 seconds, and I'll push myself through whatever that is. And then in the end, it's never really scary in the end.
Let's go one layer deeper though. Think to when you were a student.
Yes.
What is some kind of advice, piece of guidance, wisdom that you would want to share? You could send a little time capsule back. You could share with your younger self as a student. What would you tell them to help them?
I think for me, if I went back in time, I would really tell myself and others who are going through navigating college is scary. If you're first gen, it's scary times 10. You don't know what to say. You're afraid of sounding like you don't know what you're saying, and you're afraid of being judged for not knowing what you're saying. One of the things that I think helped me navigate through those experiences even now is I saw every single person's most authentic version of themselves. So let me explain that. I would try to find a way to see my professors as human. And if you really look for it, you'll find it. You know, sometimes as a first gen, you want to be there right on time because you're paying for it. So I was always the first one to come to class. And then when the professor wasn't coming to class at first, you'll notice that sometimes come in frantic, or they forgot something, or they're sweating, etc. That's them being normal. And if you dig a little deeper, you'll realize that ultimately every single person you encounter is going through the same experiences as you. They're either frustrated, dealing with personal problems, probably dealing with significant personal problems. And if you see them as a human being rather than professor, all these labels, coach, dean, then you'll start seeing them just as a person. So for students that really get to know me, they know that I'm a mother to 3 kids and I have a senior this year, and everything about that makes me a sobbing mess. And I'm not naturally an emotional person, but it's hitting me. And those are the days where people realize, oh, she's human too. I think you just need to be able to see people not as labels, but see them just as another human being who has a pile of work to do, possible stress. And if you see them that way, it doesn't make it so scary after all. Other things I did often is I journaled. And for students out there that don't journal, please by yourself. You don't got to get fancy. Just take advantage of writing down your thoughts, because you'll find that if you start journaling from the beginning of the semester to the end of the semester, and if you keep doing that to the day you graduate, you'll look back and say, man, I was so scared of Dr. So-and-so, but now we're like the best of friends and they're helping me get to grad school. Journaling also will help you release some of that anxiety. And journaling isn't just Dear Diary. My journals had doodles on it. I created little comic book characters. Sometimes I was a superhero to get over being scared in a classroom. I mean, take advantage of using your hands to do that. I was also an artist at a young age. So for me, if I was fearful, I would draw out sort of those anxieties. Whatever the it is, take advantage of it. For other students, it's working out, going on walks, doing yoga. You have to be able to trick your mind out of fear. And sometimes it's just being vulnerable to your inner spirit and the spirit of other people. We're all on the same planet. We're all trying to get by. We're all trying to do good work. And if you see that, you won't be so nervous around people. It won't be so scary next time.
Lightning round.
Yes!
Word association.
Yes!
Get ready for it, because not only are these themed words for this interview and for who's watching, but I threw in a few wild ones.
Love it!
Persistence.
I say a word, right?
Right, yeah, like what's your first response? If I say persistence.
I say Candace.
Challenge.
Ooh, hot wings.
Spider.
Oh, Harry.
How about study?
Oh, I say library.
Which, good location, students. You should really check out the library if you need a place to study. Great study space. Candy.
Oh, hot tamales. Hands down.
Lightning round part 2.
Yes.
Favorite color?
Oh, red.
Favorite book?
Borderlands on Zildua.
Go-to favorite film?
Urban Cowboy. John Travolta.
Favorite food?
Oh, sushi.
Favorite beverage? Can be alcoholic, only if you're over 21, kids.
Mama does enjoy a nice Mai Tai.
Favorite beverage? Non-alcoholic.
Root beer.
Favorite type of music?
Rap. Right now, hip-hop rap.
That works. Favorite place on campus?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I have to say our Sacred Heart Chapel. It's gorgeous.
They're a week and a half into school. What would you like them to know right now?
It's going to be hard. This is not an easy journey. There's going to be nights very soon, if not already, where you're going to second guess yourself. You're going to miss mama's homemade food. You're going to miss the sound of your dad or caregiver's voice. You're going to miss the noise of your siblings or the mess that they make or how they were annoying. There'll be nights where you're like, should I have done this? It's hard. Maybe I can't make friends. Maybe I don't feel smart enough. I ain't smart enough. All of that is distractions. I fundamentally believe, and that's why many of us are here still, that something bigger than you brought you to this university. We call it Providence. You could call it whatever you want. I believe you've been guided here for a purpose. And if you don't believe in yourself, know that other people do believe in you. Your parents believe in you. Your siblings believe in you. People you probably haven't met believe in you. And the day that you walk that stage, you're going to look back on those hard moments and say, I did it. Don't give up. Keep on going. And if it gets really, really tough, go find help. Talk to someone, because you'll learn that the other persons in the class who you may think have the answers, they're just as scared and they're doubting themselves too. You belong here. We think you belong here, and there's a bigger purpose for you. Just keep on going.